as Chief of Police, would like to discuss towing or off-duty first.
Chief, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to know if the findings are corrected or not.
Yes, some are corrected and some are in progress, and so we'll start with the towing. Would you like me to go point by point or overview? How would you like for me to do that?
So let me be very specific with the towing. Is an integrated billing system in place?
I'm sorry?
Is there an integrated billing system in place?
No, at the last commission meeting, you approved the funding for a IT solution software in order to better track the towing and collect the fees. We are still working under the old system right now.
Yeah, well, the problem is that in all the findings where they say their recommendations, and then the police department or someone, the administration, mentions the implementation date, all those dates have passed.
Yes, that system has not been procured yet, but you know, the signage, the monitoring of the towing, all of those things have been implemented. The signage requirement, we went ahead and did it and photographed all of the required signage. In the monitoring of the tow companies, we have done that also.
Have you issued a report to the Auditor General stating that? Because last time that I checked with the Auditor General, that he checked to see if some of this had been done, he was under the impression that none of it has been done.
A lot of it has been accomplished, but we have not reported it. The final, it's not a final solution, but the best solution is the purchasing of the software, which will make it easily trackable and searchable for the towing issues.
Yeah, the city will be properly paid and the public will be properly charged.
Correct.
It's my understanding that right now there's really no way to reconcile what the towing companies owe us. So realistically, the city has to ask the towing company, what do you all owe us? There's no way to reconcile that.
Correct.
And if I'm misspeaking, then someone correct me, but that's my interpretation. So that's, I think, extremely important, and it was stated that it was going to be, fixed by now, and it still hasn't. So by when is it going to be fixed? By when do we have an integrated billing system?
The integrated, we just approved it, so we're in the process of procuring the system.
Which will take how long? Can we have procurement come up, Mr. Manager? Just give us an answer. Thank you.
I believe it's going to have to come back as a sole source, right?
Procurement, come on down. Our procurement director has left the building. Commissioner Gordon.
Let me ask a question. This is very unique software.
Sorry, sir?
Is this a competitive software where you have many vendors to provide, or is this?
I don't think there's that many vendors out there for this kind of software, so I'm not sure at this point if we're going sole source or if we're going to competitively bid it out.
We're going to have to get back to you on the question as to when the procurement will be completed, sir. Commissioners, our procurement officer is not here at this time. Just for future references, I would prefer a report that's written so that I can look at it before it comes to commission. It's not just talking. I would really like to see documentation of this. And let's table this part of it. We'll come back once the procurement director is here. With regards to the off-duty, there were several findings. One of them was finding 6 that we dealt with in the commission today. However, as I mentioned months ago, that I didn't want to just deal with that finding. I wanted to deal with the whole report, because just like in the towing contract, at the time that this report came out, all the dates the implementation dates came and passed and no one did anything. So I thought that, these reports are only as good as our follow-up and really holding everybody accountable. Anyways, the bottom line is that the off-duty had various findings, and I thought some of them could be solved rather quickly. So I wanted to see how many have been solved and where are we with those.
Okay, so the maximum allowed off-duty jobs per person, the off-duty track system that we have right now kind of disqualifies you from bidding, I guess you would call it, for an off-duty assignment if you have worked already. That tracking system is very difficult, cumbersome at this point to be able to send an email to a supervisor.
Chief, if I could, let me just get down to the point. Has IT added input controls into the off-duty track system?
No,
Why not?
because we're trying to find either an off-the-shelf solution or a build-out to the current system that we have right now.
Has IT program track to allow newly promoted officers to bid jobs at their new rank?
Yes.
So that issue is solved.
Yeah, that issue
I think that was finding 3.
That issue was a ministerial issue with the program. The off-duty track is not a payroll system; it's just a sign-up system. So the audit showed that officers were working up in their classification, but that's not the case. The case is it just kind of got tracked in the wrong system.
Well, the finding was there, and you didn't contradict the finding. You said it was there. The only issue that I had is that you said you will fix it by sometime next year. And
Well, the ultimate, again, the final solution to the issue is a new system that we can, and the manager and us have been meeting for quite a while to try and get all off-duties paid through city payroll. That would fix the entire train, so to speak. If we get that in place, everything else will fall in place.
I'm glad for you to say that, but at the same time, have you discussed this with our Auditor General?
I personally have not, no, sir.
Okay.
My staff has.
So there's that lack of communication that I see everywhere because he did the findings. So I want to make sure that what you're saying, he agrees with, that will resolve the finding.
Okay.
He had recommendations here, but so I think that communication needs to happen. You said that in finding 3, and you didn't say finding 3. I just know that the program track for the newly promoted officers, finding 3, was at any moment discussed with the Auditor General that has been fixed.
My staff discussed that, yes.
Okay, because I spoke with him recently, and that's not what I
He's
think.
right here.
I see him.
He's here.
Chief, with finding 4, and again, this is an easy one. Are reviews being done monthly? And again, I ask this even though, like I said, it's
Well, the problem was that again we used the off-duty track system to then say that it was billed. The payroll is done manually after the fact, and so there was we didn't see anything that off-duty track doesn't do a billing system. The billing system is then done manually in payroll, and so that shouldn't have been an issue that came up. If you only use the tracking system, it's just a track. It's not to do payroll. So the payroll is done after the fact manually. So the off-duty tracking is just to sign up and organize that function of it, and the payroll is done separate. So nobody should have been charged for extra or under or anything like that.
so. With that said, I know our auditors here. I want to ask: do you feel confident that issue has been resolved, Mr. Auditor? If you could please come up.
Sir, can you take this lecture here? Please, no. No, please, this one. This one. You should know not to walk up on an officer like that.
Tagubo, Auditor General, City of Miami. I have not looked at, followed up on any of this, and we have not discussed this since the release of the order a couple of months ago.
Okay, the chief just said that with finding number 3, they let your office know. So,
I mean, what I suggest on both the towing and this report, if there's been progress made, if you could currently address the implementation status, and we can meet and we can discuss it, and because the towing was to be completed. We had attended meetings back in November of last year that you people had suggested some software. There were 2 presentations given which we had attended, and they were supposed to be evaluated and tested and by February of last year.
Okay.
And we didn't hear anything since. But if we would like to be in the loop too, because it's our responsibility to follow up on the implementation of recommendations.
We'll do that.
thank you, Chief. In finding number five, again, this one I thought was relatively easy, especially uncollectible accounts that have been over 10 years, 7 years. I think it's fair to say that we're not collecting that money, it should be written off. Did you get with finance department and write those off?
My budget unit is currently in the process of trying to identify which of those are very late and what companies are still viable and we may still be doing business with in order to either write off or collect.
Well, I'm seeing that you have 10 to almost 14 years of uncollectible accounts.
We just haven't written off, so
I think it's fair to say that those
we
are,
won't collect.
and I don't think it should be something that will take until September 2017 to fix.
No, that won't.
Listen, I know our finance director. It's a very good director, and I'm sure he can do what's necessary. Do you understand what I'm saying, Director Fernandez? They have uncollectible accounts over 10, 13 years, and it's never been written off.
Okay, Fernandez, Department of Finance. We're actually working with the City Attorney's Office to give us the authority to actually take them off the books. Because, we set up an allowance for it so they have no financial impact, but we don't have any authority to, completely take them off. So we're working to get language, either a resolution or amend the code to give us that authority. There's nothing in the code that gives us the authority to write something off the books. So we want to have the authority to be able to say that we can take it off the books without, there's no authority today for us to just remove them.
Mr. Auditor, that's being. Do you
No,
know
I wasn't aware of that. We have the CPAs certify the statements, and they go over the aging of that.
that was my understanding.
We could write them off the book, but we don't have any legal authority to do so today. There's nothing in the code or a resolution or anything that gives us the ability to do that.
We create a contra asset account. So in other words, it has no financial impact after X number of days. But the ability to write off the receivable, we do not have legally, so it's something that the finance director is working out to bring to commission.
When will be the implementation date, more or less?
Actually, I wanted to see if we can get it done before we issue the CAFR, so we can take them off before the CAFR. So hopefully between now and prior to March 31st.
Well, Mr. Commissioner, through the chair, since this will be an ordinance, likely, we will either need a sponsor in the commission or have to go through a 60-day waiting period.
You have a sponsor right here. I just
Thank
want.
you, sir.
What I don't want is that all this, once again, all the good work of our auditor gets brushed under the rug, and nothing gets done. There's no accountability.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, I'm sorry. This work of the auditor is not being swept under the rug. I'm the one who asked for both of these audits.
Right, and I'm glad that you asked for these audits, but it does no one any good if he does the audit and we just shelve it. So when we ask for something, if we don't like the results, it is what it is. So we need to move forward and do exactly what the recommendations are. And if there's some contradictions, then that's where you have the discussion. But the bottom line is, yes. So you asked for the audit. I'll pat you in the back. Congratulations. However, once you get the results, if you shelve it away and do nothing, that doesn't do anybody any good.
We've actually been wanting to do this prior to this, so we're not reacting to the auditor's report. It's something that we just wanted to do, and we just, for one way or the other, it's just too late. But our intention is to give us something either through a resolution or amending the code, that'll give us the authority to take them off.
I appreciate that, Mr. Fernandez. Thank you.
Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, thank you very much. DI four,
And Mr. Chairman, before we go to DI4, I just want to make sure that we have a follow-up. I don't necessarily have a date, but I want to make sure that, and I guess I'll have that follow-up with the auditor to make sure he received some type of report stipulating that all the findings have been corrected and when they have been corrected. Thank you.
thank you. DI four.
Chair,